Welcome to the Ramayana. Before we start, I have to tell you that for the time being, this is not my usual Upanishadic talk or Upanishadic dialogue. So for some time we should keep all our, like 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 aside. In this case, sometimes 1 plus 1 may be 6 or 9. Because we are dealing with a completely different dimension, which is the heart. Not the brain so much. Although you know that it requires the brain to read, to understand, to explain, but we are dealing with the heart. So, for the time being, we must set aside all that and sit as if we are listening to a beautiful story. And then you see, as the story proceeds, how Rama gets into your heart and starts working. For that, first the clearance is done by Hanuman swinging his gata, and then when the storm is cleared, then Rama gets into the picture. I have read many Ramayans, I have tried them in translation, but I find this Ramayana, which is brought out by the Bharati Vidya Bhavan, by Kamala Subramaniam, to be a very simple and precise and concise translation of Valmiki's great Kavya. So I am proposing to follow this book, thanks to Kamala Subramaniam and the Bharati Vidya Bhavan, of course. Now, it is one of the most ancient of the poems, I think, known to mankind. In Sanskrit poetry, Ramayana is referred to as Adi Kavya, means the first Kavya which was written. So we should understand it as a poem, not as a prose trying to tell a story just like that, in words. You have to go into the inner depths of the poet's consciousness. Now, when you look into it very carefully, you'll see that the whole of the Ramayana, beginning till the end, the main theme is Viraha. Viraha means, what is Viraha? Sorrow and separation. Separation, sorrow brought about by separation. So the whole theme is separation. And I think this is a very, very important factor, because we are all actually in that separation in some form or the other. The Atma is separated from the Paramatma. And the whole of the process of spiritual sadhana is to come back and touch that. That's one thing. The other is, separation by itself has a certain dimension which even union does not have. There is a story that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was at one time in one of his moods crying for the vision of Krishna for days together, and then Krishna appears before him and he says, "What have you done now? You have spoiled the whole thing. You have appeared. That was a beautiful sorrow I had in my heart. And now it's gone." So that Viraha is a very important part of bhakti. It's a very important part of spiritual sadhana, on the spiritual journey. The problem is that we always run away from sorrow. The moment sorrow appears in some form, either we entertain ourselves or give ourselves a diversion so that we don't actually face it. And if you can face the sorrow actually squarely, make it your friend, then sorrow is no longer your enemy. It's something that takes you to the highest spiritual goal. There is an old Hindi song, in the movie called Dosti, in which this man sings and says how सुख तो है एक धरती आती है जाती है, दुख तो अपना साथी है. Once you get friendly with sorrow, nothing can touch you. So, as we read and go along the Ramayana, let us try and understand that Viraha. In Sanskrit Kavya, this kind of construction, this kind of story is called Vipralamba Sringara. It means something to do with separation and yearning for separation. It's a very significant, as we read we'll know this, that the whole of the beginning of the Ramayana starts with the great Rishi Valmiki, standing in front of the Tamasa river and contemplating the serene beauty of everything. And there on the top of a tree are two crauncha birds. I was trying to research it. They say it's some kind of a crane, Saurus crane. So two crauncha birds in love with each other, enjoying the love of each other, when suddenly he hears the twang of a bow, and one of them is shot down by the arrow of the hunter, and it falls down. And when it falls down and it dies, the other one is crying for this one that died. Now that hits the deepest part of Valmiki's heart. And that is the first verse from which the Ramayana begins. So he curses this person saying, Ma Vishada Pradishtam Tvamagama Shashvato Samaha Yat Krauncha Mithuna Dekhamavadho Kama Mohitam. He says, when these birds were in love with each other, you shot those birds down. You will never enjoy the bliss and tranquility of love. So he curses him. Now as he curses him, it suddenly begins to wonder that just now I cursed, but that curse was in some kind of a beautiful poetry, set in a certain meter, chandas. And while he is thinking about it, then we'll read the rest in Balakanda. Now before I start, I would like to read out two beautiful slokas, very ancient slokas about the Ramayana. I'm specially reading it out because Swami Ranganath Ananda, who was very close to me, he is no more, he has passed away. He was very fond of it. And when Kamala Subramaniam wrote this Ramayana and asked him to write an introduction, he quoted this. So I have it here and I want to read it before we proceed. It says, Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Arohya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam. Which means, I salute Valmiki, the cuckoo, who perching on the tree of poesy, melodiously sings the sweet syllables, Rama, Rama. And then he says, Sita Rama Gunagrama Punyaranya Viharino Vande Vishuddha Vijnano Kavishwara Kapishwaro. Which means, I salute the master of Kavis, which is Valmiki, and the master of Kapis, monkeys, who is Hanuman, who are endowed with pure reason, not ordinary monkeys, who are endowed with pure reason and who move freely and joyously in the sacred grove with the virtues of Rama and Sita. So with this we will start the Balakanda. So this is the beginning of the Balakanda, and I think we have now a base or foundation to start with. So as we go, let us understand this Viraha and proceed slowly. Tamasa was the river on the banks of which was built the ashrama of Valmiki the sage. He was famed the world over for his great tapasya and for his Gurukula, which had many disciples who learned the sacred lore under him. Once the Rishi was sunk in a reverie, and to him came Narada, the divine Rishi. Narada appears everywhere. Whenever some situation is going to come, Narada appears with his veena, Narayana, Narayana, so he comes. Narada, the son of Brahma, the creator, watching Narada's fingers strumming the strings of the veena, Valmiki sat without speaking a word. Because it was so beautiful, so he just sat quietly contemplating. Narada asked him, "What are your thoughts now at this moment?" And the Rishi replied, "You are the son of Brahma, and you are like Vayu, the god of wind." Why? Because you go everywhere, you enter everywhere, you even enter into the minds of men. Here when we say men, please understand, minds of human beings. And know what thoughts there are in the innermost hearts of living beings. You must be knowing what has been troubling me for quite some time now. I wonder if there is in this world of humans a single individual, a person blessed with all the many good qualities which you can think of. Do you know anybody like that? This is what is troubling me in the mind. In this yuga, in this century which I am living in, not this. I don't think he would have asked this question so easily. So he said, can you tell me if there is a perfect person like that living on? This is what has been troubling me. So Narada says, tell me what these qualities are. And I will try and tell you if there is one endowed with all of them and satisfy your curiosity. So Valmiki said, integrity, bravery, righteousness, gratitude, truthfulness, dedication to one's principles, character without blemish, concern for all living beings, learning, skill, beauty, a pleasing appearance, courage, reliance, ability to keep anger under control. He didn't say not get angry. Anger under control, perfect control. A lack of jealousy at all times. Lack of jealousy at all times. In Malayalam we have a saying that there is no cure for baldness and jealousy. No, now of course they do hair weaving or something. So, free of all jealousy at all times, undaunted heroism, which even celestials are frightened of, which even the devas are worried about. Is there somebody like that? Valmiki paused for a while after enumerating all these many qualities and then said with a smile, I know I am expecting perfection in a human being, which is very rare. But I wonder if there is such a person. Now in Valmiki Ramayana you see this very carefully. In many places Rama is depicted as a man. And suddenly, imperceptibly, he is depicted as divine. It goes very, very subtly. Between the divine and the man, there is a constant flow. As we read, we will know this. And it's quite interesting to watch. So, I wonder if there is such a person. Is it possible for a single man to have all these qualities? Even gods have not able to possess them. How can a human being aspire to such perfection? Yet, this mind of mine has been aching to know of such a person. Hoping against hope that there is a perfect human being. Narada, who knew the past, the present and the future, was very pleased with the speculation of Valmiki. And he replied, listen to me carefully. I happen to know of such a man. So Valmiki perked up. Let's hear this. He looked thoughtful as though he was trying to collect his memories. And he said, as you rightly observed, it is very hard to find a single individual endowed with all these qualities which you have said. But I'll tell you about one who can be said to have attained perfection in this world of men. In the line of Ikshvakus, there is a king by name Rama. He is the man you are looking for. He is unruffled by the sway of emotions. But you will find in the Ramayana, sometimes he is also swayed by emotions. But then he controls himself suddenly and says, what am I doing? He is powerful and he has a very attractive personality. This again you will see in Rama. He is good, but he is not a weakly. He has charm and at the same time he is firm in mind. He is highly intelligent and just. He has no foes since he has subdued all of them. As for his looks, he is broad-shouldered with long arms, Ajanavahu, a wide chest, a large and beautiful forehead and very attractive gait. He is neither too tall nor too short. He has large and liquid eyes. He is well versed in the Shastras and is very jealous of his personal honor, which he would not give up. He is a great archer and is ever pondering on the great truth beyond the comprehension of all human thought. That is the key. All this he has, but he is all the time pondering on that great truth which is beyond the comprehension of human thought. He is dear to everyone. He is very noble and good and all the gentle people gravitate towards him like rivers that flow continuously towards the ocean. Rama knows no partiality, and he is ever gentle and pleasant in his speech. All the good and great qualities which you are looking for in a man are found in this king, who is the son of Kaushalya. In nobility, he resembles the mighty ocean, and so on. There is a big description. Now, Valmiki, who had been sitting quiet all the while, became greatly excited at the words of Narada. And he said, he didn't want to interrupt the flow of words, but then he said, continue. So Narada says, now in the Balakanda, there is a concise description of the entire Ramayana first, like an introduction on the jacket of a book. And then he details it little by little. So this is a concise idea of what Ramayana is. He says, Dasharatha, the father of Rama, was very eager to crown his eldest son Rama as the Yuvaraja of the kingdom. Rama, who was noble and the home of all virtues, the king began to make all preparations for the coronation. His younger wife Kaikeyi, however, was against the coronation. With the help of the two boons which she had been granted long ago, she made the king agree to her stipulations. One of them was the crowning of her son Bharata as the king, and the other was the banishment of Rama to the dreaded Dandaka forest. The unfortunate king, bound as he was by his promise, had to conform to her wishes, and he banished Rama to the forest. The noble prince agreed to go away to please his father and to fulfill the promise of the king. Rama's brother Lakshmana, who was born of Sumitra, was devoted to Rama, and he decided to accompany Rama in his exile. Rama had a wife by name Sita. She was dear to him as his very life. She was the daughter of Janaka. Born as she was of a noble race, this jewel among women followed her Lord Rama even as the star Rohini does the moon. On the banks of the river Ganga dwelt a hunter by name Guha. Rama spent the first night of his exile in Shringiberapura, the capital of the hunter king, Shringiberapura. After sending the charioteer Sumantra back to Ayodhya, the capital of the Ikshvaku kings, Rama, Lakshmana and Sita crossed the river Ganga with the help of Guha. They then arrived at the ashram of Bharadwaja. The rishi advised them to go to the hill by name Chitrakuta and to build a hermitage there. They crossed many coppices and fords and small rivers and finally arrived at the hill by name Chitrakoot. Lakshmana built a hermitage, and the three of them were dwelling happily there in the midst of so much natural beauty. Even as Rama was approaching Chitrakoot, Dasharatha, his father, unable to bear the separation from his beloved son Rama, abandoned his mortal frame and was gathered to his forefather. We'll come to the details later. This is just a summing up, which comes in the beginning. Bharata had all the while been with his uncle Yuddhajit, the brother of Kaikeyi. Vashishta, the royal preceptor, sent for him, and when the funeral rites were completed, the wise man told Bharata about the danger of a country which was without a ruler, and asked Bharata to take up the reins of the kingdom and rule it as his father had done. Bharata refused to do so. Instead, he made up his mind to go to the forest, meet Rama and bring him back to Ayodhya. He went to Chitrakoot accompanied by his subjects and ministers and Vashishta. He met Rama and asked him to accept the kingdom. He said, "My lord, you are the king and you must come back and take up the responsibility of ruling the kingdom." Will this be possible today? He'll say, "This is a beautiful opportunity. Why should I? He's gone to the forest. Well and good." That is the difference in character among people. Not only Rama, look at Lakshmana, look at Bharata, look at Hanuman. Each character is excellently made. So he says no. Bharata refused. He went to Chitrakoot and he said, "Please come." He said, "You are the ruler of the kingdom, come back." But Rama, who was ever famed for granting anyone his wish, was firm in this one instance and refused to grant Bharata his wish. Normally, anyone asked Rama, is so kind, he said, okay, do it. But here he said, no, that's not the right thing to do. He would not accept the kingdom because he said, that will falsify my promise to my father. I cannot do it. Today I don't know how many children are there like that. But then there are how many fathers like that. That's also there. So, finally as a compromise, Bharata asked for the sandals of Rama. He said, give me your chappals. And told him that he would place them on the throne and rule the kingdom in the name of Rama. Rama agreed to it. Bharata took an oath that he would enter Ayodhya only with Rama. He therefore stayed in a small village by name Nandigrama, which was on the fringe of the city of Ayodhya. There he stayed dressed in a tree bark and deerskin, just like Rama in the forest, and with his hair matted, even as Rama's and Lakshmana's were. He was governing the country, waiting eagerly for the coming of Rama. Rama in the meantime felt that he should abandon Chitrakoot, since the people of Ayodhya began to know his whereabouts. A lot of people started coming, so he said, I must get out of here. Therefore, he decided to penetrate into the Dandaka forest. The first event in the Dandaka was his slaying of the Rakshasa by name Viradha. He then proceeded to the ashramas of Sharabhanga, Sutikshana, Agastya, and the brother of Agastya. Agastya made a gift of the great bow of Indra to Rama. He also gave him a beautiful sword and 2 quivers which were inexhaustible, full of arrows all the time. The rishis in the forest approached Rama with a request. They told him about their being harassed by the Rakshasas who were dwelling in their midst, and asked Rama to protect them. Many thousand years before Harry Potter was written, we can read wonderful battles in the Ramayana. Very beautiful. Rakshasas and very. So, Rama listened to them and told them that he would do so. He said he would destroy all the Rakshasas. It was a solemn promise made by Rama. Because if he made a promise, he wouldn't go back. They went to a spot by name Panchavati. It was on the banks of the river Godavari and it was beautiful. There Lakshmana built an ashrama and they spent a happy time there. By now 13 years had been spent in exile in the forest. When they were in Panchavati, the first Rakshasi comes. Shurpanaka, a Rakshasi, who was dwelling in the Janasthana, came to Rama and expressed her love of him. Incensed at this, we will understand why incensed afterwards when we read the details. Rama cut off her nose and ears. She went to her brother Khara and complained to him about the insult to herself by 2 mere men. He said 2 mere men, thin fellows walking around. With a sword they cut off my nose. Can you bear this? We are so powerful Rakshasas. How can they do that? No civil rights. At her instigation, Khara, Dushana and Trishiras, with an army made up of 14,000 Rakshasas, accosted Rama. Rama finished all of them single-handed and rid the place of all the Rakshasas. Khara and the other 2 were cousins of Ravana, the lord of Lanka. That's how it starts. They were cousins of Dashamukha, the lord of Lanka. You know, Dashamukha, his previous name was Dashamukha. Then he became Ravana later. There's a story. We'll come to that later. Hearing about the incidents in Janasthana, Ravana decided to avenge the death of his cousins and the destruction of the army and also the insult to Surpanaka. He went to Maricha, a Rakshasa, for assistance. Maricha tried in many ways to convince Ravana of the prowess of Rama and about the dangers of rousing his anger. But Ravana paid no heed to his words. Prodded as he was by fate, Ravana took Maricha with him and arrived in the neighborhood of the ashrama of Rama. With the help of his Maya, at which he was an adept, Maricha lured Rama and later Lakshmana away from the ashrama. We will read that in detail as we go. And when Sita was alone in the ashrama, Ravana carried her away. Jatayu, the king of eagles, was the friend of Rama and he tried in vain to prevent Ravana from abducting Sita. He was fatally wounded, and Ravana went away with the princess. When they came back to the ashrama, Rama and Lakshmana found it empty. Sita objected, and seeing Jatayu who was dying, Rama was beside himself with grief and anguish. He heard about Ravana from the lips of dying Jatayu, and when the eagle died, Rama performed the funeral rites for him as he would for his own father. The brothers then went in search of Sita. While they were proceeding thus, they were caught in the arms of a gruesome-looking Rakshasa by name Kabanda. His arms were a yojana long each, and his head was in his stomach, which means all the time probably he was thinking of food. His mouth was wide open to swallow his victims. Kabanda was in reality the son of Kubera, who had been cursed to assume this form. When he was killed by the brothers, he regained his celestial form and returned to heaven. You will see this in the Ramayana, that whenever many of the Rakshasas are killed, they have been made Rakshasas because of a curse, because of their character, because of the way they live, they have become Rakshasas. And when Rama finishes them off, they are transformed into their original beautiful form. So, when he was killed, he regained his celestial form and returned to the heavens. Before leaving him, Kabanda told Rama about Shabari, a devotee of Rama who was waiting for the coming of Rama. Kabanda also said that on top of the Rishyamukha hill, there dwelt a Vanara by name Sugriva who would help Rama and Sita. Rama went to the ashram of Shabari and was worshipped by her, and he gave her leave to reach the heavens which she had earned by her tapasya. We will read about the story of Shabari also. Rama and Lakshmana proceeded on their journey and reached the lake known by the name Pampa, and after passing it, they were wandering around at the foot of the hill Rishyamukha. Anybody who has gone to Shabarimala would have crossed the Pampa river. They were accosted by Hanuman, the minister of Sugriva. Hanuman took them to the presence of Sugriva. A great and lasting friendship was formed between these two, Rama and Sugriva, and this was forged by fire which was kindled by the wise Hanuman. Rama recounted to Sugriva about himself and about the misfortune that had befallen him, the abduction of Sita by some Rakshasa. Sugriva came out with his story and the unfortunate condition which he was in, banished from his city by his brother Bali. Rama promised to kill Bali to please Sugriva. The Vanara was dubious about the prowess of Rama, and he recounted the many acts of valor performed by his brother. When Rama said, "I'll take care of Bali," Sugriva said, "What are you talking about? You are a mere human being. You don't know what Bali is like." And he recounted to him his many powers. And that's where he will explain why he had to hide and shoot. Rama promised to do it. To assure him of his own superior strength, Rama lifted the skeleton of one Dundubi with the tip of his toe and flung it to a distance of 10 yojanas. Sugriva was ashamed of himself for his lack of faith and said, "This arrow of yours has pierced the 7 salas, split the earth open, and after entering the nether regions, it has returned to your quiver. Never before have I seen such a feat. Forgive me for doubting you." They then went to Kishkinda, the capital of Bali. Sugriva called out to the great warrior Bali and challenged him to come out and fight with him. Rama killed Bali with a single arrow and established Sugriva on the throne of the dead Bali. Sugriva then summoned his entire army and dispatched his men to all the 4 quarters to search for Sita. Hanuman, accompanied by Angad, the son of Vali, went towards the south. There, directed by Sampati, the eagle king, who was the brother of Jatayu, Hanuman crossed the sea, which was 100 yojanas wide. He reached the island by name Lanka. There in the king's pleasure garden, by name Ashokavana, Hanuman found Sita, who was kept there as a captive. Thinking only of Rama, the princess was a picture of woe. Hanuman announced himself to her, gave her the signet ring which Rama had sent, and comforted her with words of encouragement. He gave her news about Rama and Lakshmana, and he told her that Rama, assisted by Sugriva and his army, would soon arrive in Lanka and rescue her from Ravana. Hanuman then destroyed the Ashokavana. Ravana sent his army to capture him, but 5 of his commanders and 7 of their sons, as also the brave Akshaya, the son of Ravana, were killed by Hanuman. Indrajit, another son of Ravana, came and he dispatched the Brahmastra at Hanuman. The Vanara did not want to insult the great Brahma, so he allowed himself to be bound by the Astra. Not that Hanuman could not fight the Brahmastra. Since it was an Astra of Brahma, he allowed himself to be bound. He was then taken to the court of Ravana bound. Thereafter he burned the city of Lanka and returned to the presence of Rama. He carried with him the good tidings that Sita was alive and that she was a captive of Ravana. Accompanied by Sugriva, Rama came to the shores of the sea. When the Lord of the Seas would not make way for him and his army, Rama was highly incensed and threatened to finish the entire sea. So now he is not a human being. This is what happens in the Ramayana. Sometimes he is a human being, sometimes he is divine, especially in Valmiki. The king of the waters appeared in front of Rama and asked him to build a bridge across the sea, which would take him to Lanka. I said, please don't destroy me, build a bridge across the sea. Accordingly, Nala, the architect, built the bridge. Crossing the sea, Rama went to Lanka, killed Ravana and rescued Sita. However, he spoke harsh words to her. Unable to bear the stinging insults, Sita entered the fire. Agni, the god of fire, brought her to Rama out of the flames and told Rama that he should accept her since she was without any taint. The world above and the world of men praised the prowess of Rama. They celebrated the great achievements of Rama. After crowning Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana, as the king of Lanka, Rama made up his mind to step homewards. With the blessings of the Devas, the Vanaras who had died in the war came back to life, and there was great rejoicing. In the celestial chariot by name Pushpaka, Rama along with his friends proceeded towards Ayodhya. He went to the ashrama of Bharadwaja first to pay his respects to him, and from there he sent Hanuman to Bharata to inform him of his return. Rama then went to Nandigrama with Sugriva. In Nandigrama he was reunited with his brothers Bharata and Shatrughna. After getting rid of his matted locks, Rama assumed the garments of a king and was crowned the king of Kosala. People were thrilled with the return of Rama, and there was great rejoicing in the city of Ayodhya. Rama rules the kingdom righteously, and there is not a breath of adharma in the rule of Rama. After performing 100 Ashwamedhas, Rama will reach the heavens. He will establish dharma on earth. He will rule for 11,000 years before he leaves the earth. One who hears this tale of Rama will be assured of a place in the higher world. Having recounted thus the story of Rama to Valmiki, Narada took leave of him and went away from his ashrama. This is the introduction that Valmiki gives to the Ramayana before proceeding to go into the details.